Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Backwoods Butcher Chop Block TV. I am the cenobite storyteller slasher Poe. These are my stories to tell you. This first short story is entitled Hearing Aid. The smell of burnt flesh lingered in the enclosed room. Boris, drenched in sweat, laughing hysterically, twitching at the excitement. "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?" he asked, over and over as he repeatedly placed the immense flame on the blowtorch, on the ear. His neighbor Elaine, such a sweet, innocent woman, always kind and caring, offering him food when she knew he had none. She just picked the wrong night to bring him leftover pizza. Boris was a serial killer. He loved to torture, mutilate, and degrade his victims. Boris was preoccupied in his weekly frenzy to hear the doorbell ring. Elaine rang the doorbell 3 times. She knows his apartment is small enough to hear it. She found it rather odd that he was not answering. When the faint muffled screams could be heard behind the door, Elaine panicked, dropping the pizzas and pushing the door open to see if Boris was okay. She opened the door to find Boris as well as his room, bed and clothing covered in blood. Body parts were hanging from the ceiling like decorations. A convulsing man laid strapped to the bed with jumper cables and electrodes, strapped to his genitals and face. Sheer terror crept over Elaine, as well as a quick instinctive jolt for the door. But Boris was already at her throat before she could move. With an animal-like instinct, Boris began to bite Elaine's face. He began to chew her face like a rabid cannibal, starving, biting profusely at her face. All she could do is cry and beg for him to stop. Boris began to headbutt the face and eyes of Elaine until she fell conscious. She woke up to the smell of burning flesh, as well as an immense sensation on her ears. Glancing up, she could see Boris in one hand, a blade and a blowtorch, as he was drenched in sweat, laughing hysterically, mutilating his own stomach and chest. When he noticed she was awake, he began to repeat, "Can you hear me now?" burning her ear with a quick hot burst from the blowtorch. "Can you hear me now?" I am the cenobite storyteller slasher Poe. I am glad you are tuning in this evening. This next short cenobite story is entitled Strangleland. It's been 10 days since the retirement home bus went missing, with 13 senior citizens on board. It was supposed to be a simple trip to Las Vegas, and then back to Los Angeles. Halfway into the trip, in a deserted area, they hit a pothole and blew a left front tire. The bus driver said, "Remain calm, everybody. It's just a flat tire. I will have it fixed in a moment, and we will be back on our way." Tim Gravel, better known as Big Grim Tim, the bus driver. He was known for his towering frame and his scraggly black hair. With an appearance looking like Lurch from Addams Family, he was very intimidating, but he was very shy. The bus lifted 3 feet when Tim walked off of the bus to check the tire. The older men and women would heckle about how he stunk and how insufferable his music was on the trip. They began to even make remarks about his teeth and hair, asking him, "Hey Sonny, why don't you get a haircut? Hey boy, do you need a toothbrush?" Tim was very shy and sensitive. His towering frame was intimidating to most. The senior citizens on board were not afraid of anything. They were some of the most ruthless senior citizens in the Beverly Hills retirement home. Each senior citizen on this bus was very rich as well as corrupt. Outside of the bus, Tim began to change the tire when out of nowhere, he was blindsided by a piece of concrete from an oncoming car off the road. It hit him and knocked him back, causing a gash to form on his forehead, with blood running down his face. He began to hear a loud ringing sound, as well as visions of mutilated corpses and human sacrifices. An uncontrollable urge, a desire crept over him like a spider. He began having flashbacks of the senior citizens heckling him, criticizing him and degrading him. He started to shake as well as the ringing intensified in his ears. He sat up from the ground and walked directly back onto the bus. Janet DeLong loved to degrade everybody. As soon as Tim laid eyes on her, her first words were, "Do you need a Band-Aid, baby?" As the blood spewed down Tim's face, a flashing white light burst in his mind like a volcano erupting. When Ken opened his eyes, he seen it all on the faces of the senior citizens. The disgust and curiosity crept over them. To their amazement, the inside of the bus began to shift and change into a circus tent. A putrid smell to fill the air. Inside of the bus, Big Grim Tim was now fully engulfed in a blue flame. With a top hat and staff in hand, he shouted from the top of his lungs, "Welcome to Strangleland." With a snap of his fingers, the seat belts from their seats wrapped tightly around each and every one of the senior citizens' throats. Grim Tim began parading up and down the aisles like a marching band, mocking the senior citizens with their own words. "Want a toothbrush?" He chuckled in a high-pitched Jamaican voice. He began dancing around in circles, kissing the elderly passengers on the cheek as they hung by their throats from their safety belts. All 13 senior citizens kicking and thrashing, choking to death. Parading up and down the aisles, he began to sing, "Welcome to Strangleland." Thank you for tuning in. I am Slasher Poe. These are my Cenobite stories. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Backwoods Butcher Chop Block TV. I am Slasher Poe. This story is entitled The A to Z Killer. Alfred Zane was obsessed with true crime. He started to read about some of the most notorious serial killers and mass murderers. He spent countless days and nights studying crime scene photos, going over forensic science techniques, as well as researching all of the greats. Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, Albert Fish, and Jeffrey Dahmer. He became so infatuated, he began to collect animal bones like Jeffrey Dahmer. He also acquired a taste for sticking needles into his groin, like Albert Fish. He became a sexual deviant. He began watching extreme violent pornography to be infatuated like Ted Bundy. He made up his mind that he was going to become a serial killer. Since he had a clear idea of what he wanted to do, he began pondering with a name. He said, "I am the A to Z killer. I will kill victims in alphabetical order, A to Z, until I get caught." He immediately grabbed a phone book and started looking for potential victims. He began looking through the A's section of the phone book. Looking for the closest prospect to his house, he took his finger and pointed to a name. Amber Redding, 322 North Pisco Street, which is only a few blocks from where he lived. He quickly started to premeditate his every move and calculate what needed to be done to carry out this heinous act. He began to stalk her like a tiger, eager to pounce on his prey, watching her every movements, knowing her daily routines. He did this for 2 weeks, just to make sure. Groceries, then home. He knew the neighbors would be gone as well. This was his chance. She began to unload her groceries in her garage when she felt a sharp instrument to her throat and a deep voice. "You scream and I'll gut you," Alfred said. With a harsh whisper, her only reply she could muster was, "Now why would I do that?" And with a quick jolt, she pulled a 9mm pistol from her waist, turned, immediately firing 3 times into the chest and sternum of Alfred. Without warning, Alfred was down, on the ground bleeding profusely and breathing heavily. She began to laugh and sing and began to dance around Alfred in a circle. Without warning, she stopped and turned and said, "Out of all days, you decide to rob a serial killer?" She lifted the 9mm, walked slowly to Alfred, and began to whisper under her breath in unrecognizable words. She was about 2 inches away from Albert's face when she pulled the trigger. In a faint whisper she said, "Victim 62. Once again, I am the Cenobite storyteller / Poe. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at BackwoodsButcherChop.tv, as well as follow me on Aminos _Poe. When the ravens crow,